So, we found out who's next.
That's
and every part of me has to believe that there's no way Bray Wyatt loses. But I'm actually hearing conflicting rumors that Goldberg might take the belt from him at Showdown. So we definitely have a lot to cover this evening. But Vince, I'll let you do the intro as always. I didn't mean to jump the gun, but
no problem.
We got a lot to cover, my friend.
I am once again asking for your financial support. I believe once we win in New Hampshire, that we can take it all the way to South Carolina on Super Tuesday. No, I'm kidding. This is the War Report podcast, hosted at askthewarreport.com. The first only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. Tagmeatdate.com is currently under development of V3, I believe. So we will keep you updated on that. Follow us on social media at TagMeADate. And of course, that music that you heard in the background was the one and only Goldberg. And I have a cat hair in my soda. Hold on. If you remember.
What are you talking about?
What? I had a cat hair in my soda.
You had a cat hair. Who am I?
Yeah, no, I have 2 cats. And they get hair all over everything. Not you. It was a white hair, so it's definitely not yours. But, yeah, for real. I mean, maybe you're going gray because of the kids, but it's red. It's definitely red. For those of you who don't recognize that music or don't have a particular fondness for that music, when that music played, shit was going down. When Goldberg's music hit and he came out with 8 state troopers and he headbutted something and he came out and the pyro hit and he breathed the smoke in and exhaled it out of his nose, and which is, I don't know how he doesn't have some sort of cancer from that. Good for him.
Listen, at the end of the day,
it goes down when you heard that music.
WCW never would have made it as long as it did without Goldberg. Goldberg brought a life. Goldberg brought a life back to WCW that they didn't have. They would have never been able to take down the WWE for as long as they did without Goldberg. And Sam, that's not taken away from Sting and Flair and the NWO or any of that shit. But let's be honest. There's no fucking way they would have survived as long as they did without Goldberg.
Well, you started it right by saying Sting first. Absolutely.
Well, listen, I know who I'm talking to right now.
No, you gotta cater to the audience, sir. Cater to your audience.
That's what I do, sir.
Well, listen, I gotta be honest. When that music came on, it was cool, blah, 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 good entry, shit, whatever. But he then botched every fucking spot in every match.
Yep.
Okay. He looked like garbage.
But it was okay.
His monster traps.
But it was
How
okay.
was it okay?
Because
it's not okay.
It was totally okay. Because you know what? The rest of the world thought it was okay because they dominated against the WWE, and it was because of Goldberg. He brought something to that ring. Forget about the botches and this and that. He still was able to get off the 2 biggest moves he had to, which were the spear and the jackhammer. As long as he got that off.
He brought to the ring garbage. That's what he brought to the ring.
Nah, listen, he brought an excitement. He brought intensity. Listen, Goldberg, I'll keep saying it. Goldberg is the reason they lasted as long as they did. He was never going to be the most technical wrestler ever, in the ring. It just wasn't, that's not what they needed him for. You know
why I want to get you back in the ring so I can finish this shit.
So I don't know. Oh, and listen, big shout out. My boy Mason is listening tonight, and I just want to give him a little shout out. My little man, he's a big fan of pro wrestling, big fan of Ricochet. So he wanted to listen and check out the show.
He's not going to like what happens in Super Showdown, I have a feeling. But,
yeah, well, listen, we'll touch on that. But listen, we really do have so much to cover. I want to jump right to Raw before we talk about SmackDown from last week and AEW and all that. I want to talk about Raw. Overall, I think Raw was a pretty decent show last night. What the fuck are we doing with Shayna Baszler? I don't understand. I don't understand where we're going with this. What she's a cannibal now?
She's a pit bull.
Dude,
God damn it.
I don't know, man. That spot was just. I don't know. Was it necessary? I don't know. It was weird. But then the other part of me is like, well, Vince is bringing blood back. You know what I'm saying? So
well, it was so funny because he goes, "Oh, we're not going to be blood and guts like AEW is," and they do this spot. So last week, AEW had Britt Baker attack not Riho. What's her name? Yuka Sakazaki.
Oh,
and
right.
She put her teeth on the ropes and gave her a curb stomp, and then she spit out fake blood and fake teeth, or maybe they were real teeth. I don't know where they get teeth from. You got a teeth guy. But they did that, and then this week we've got a very similar situation just a few days later. But yeah, it's just funny to see the Vince go from we're not going to be blood and guts to, damn it, we need some blood and guts on this fucking show. I wasn't a fan only because if you bite somebody, you're biting them on the back of the neck. It just doesn't seem like that's the spot to bite somebody.
They did it because the hair is going to cover up. I mean, notice you never saw the actual wound. And I'm pretty damn sure on the recap, I'm pretty sure I saw blood packets like weaved into the back part of the hair. Like, right, it was a perfect way to hide it all. You know, you had to really be paying attention to see it. But
it was done well for what it was, but it was still I thought it was kind of silly.
They could have done so much. They could have done so much on it without having to do that. You know what I mean? Baszler's a beast.
Yeah.
Is anyone hearing that echo?
I just realized though.
Oh, the fuck was
now
that?
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone now.
But they're comparing this to like Freddie Blassie. Okay, back in the day, the rumor was Freddie Blassie used to sharpen his teeth, so then when he went in the ring, he'd bite people, and then they'd gig with the little razor blade, and they'd have a whole bunch of blood come out, and it looked like Freddie Blassie bit them, and they started bleeding. So that's the comparison they're trying to do right now. The problem
Freddie Blassie was very classy.
He was, well, obviously a classy guy biting somebody in the face. Who doesn't? But
Pennsylvania.
But it's just the reason that worked is that there was obviously it was a different time. We're in a different time now. Everybody's a little more sensitive. We're a little more woke. We can't just have people cutting their faces with razor blades. But that's what made that shit work. It was real blood bleeding out of their face. So like this is okay. It's a reasonable facsimile, but don't tell me that wouldn't have been better if she bit her on the face and Becky took the old gig. And I know she's a pretty girl and she's not going to want to do it. But I mean, imagine that. Just like it would have been so much more impactful if it was real color, old school, brother.
Dude, at the end of the day, Baszler literally could have just jumped from behind, clotheslined her from behind, choked her out, and then just made the statement. Like, it didn't have to be, and then Becky Lynch,
But then you
I'm so
wouldn't have
badass,
that
I'm the
great-
man, I'm going to drive myself to the hospital, like, and then come
You
back.
wouldn't have that great that black and white picture silhouette.
Yeah.
Baszler. You
They
need
black
that.
and white all the blood now.
That's
They
true.
Black and white blood stuff.
I don't know. Did anyone else feel like the man looked very frail and small next to Baszler?
Well, Baszler's just a beast.
Yeah, I mean, she's not. I don't think she's particularly tall, but she's very, she's got a good solid base, like muscularity, and she's got that shoot fighter, MMA fighter base for her body type.
You know what's
She's a
weird
beast.
too?
I loved it.
You like that segment with the biting?
I mean, it was weird at first, but then I see where they're going with it. So it got us watching, and we're talking about it. So somebody did something right.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah.
She should have bit an ear off.
When Gangrel was around, he never did anybody.
Yeah, Gangrel had a cup of blood. He skipped
The
the
Brood
middleman
was the
entirely.
shit. Gangrel's my guy.
Yeah, the bloodbaths.
Their
man.
entrance was one of the greatest entrances back in the day. It was awesome when they'd
For
come
sure.
through.
The big ring of fire thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was
kick
awesome.
ass.
The Brood.
Yeah, so I like the idea of Becky facing Shayna.
I do too. Something different and new,
Yeah.
for the most part, anyway.
But the funny thing is, we're building this. So the good thing is with it. I mean, it's a good and a bad thing. Asuka has now lost to Becky so many times that it doesn't matter if they wrestle anymore. That's dead. But you've got there was no challenge. Once she beat Asuka, Becky didn't have a challenger that could go to WrestleMania. So Shayna is a good choice. The weird thing is, and this ties into the rest of the show, is you've got Brock Lesnar facing Ricochet, and you've got Rhea Ripley facing Bianca Belair within the next couple weeks, both for their respective world championships. And they're playing it like this could affect the WrestleMania card. When,
Well,
if you've been watching wrestling for as long as you've been watching wrestling,
yeah,
there's
you kind of know where it's going.
There's a 0% chance that Ricochet wins that belt in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And there's Bianca Belair has a much better chance.
Now I have a theory.
But I don't know.
Well, I have a little theory. So Charlotte comes out on Raw to watch the match with Rhea Ripley and what's her face, the Viking chick.
Sarah Logan.
Yeah. So, and who the fuck has she pissed off? Because she just got destroyed by the NXT champion. I don't think there was one offensive move that connected. Just saying. But in any event, Charlotte announces at the end, that she still is not going to announce her decision because she doesn't even know if Rhea's still going to be champion by then.
Right.
And she said something at the end that kind of alluded to her being kind of a flare, and she's probably going to screw Rhea at NXT and cost her the title, which is then where I could see Regal getting involved and making maybe the main
War games.
Maybe at Mania it becomes Baszler, Belair, and Charlotte in a triple threat.
Little triple threat.
Although
okay.
they did just do a women's triple threat last year, so they may opt not to. But that I would be okay with also, because that's 3 women now that we really haven't seen, go down. And I still think Charlotte would be the one to get over. But
that's probably how that's going to shake out.
But I mean, it's an experience, to say you got to wrestle. What?
Charlotte should not go over at Mania.
Well, she's going to.
But she's gonna.
Well, yeah, because she's Charlotte.
That was like the year they had the big match with her. It was another triple threat. They love doing these women's triple threats. It was with Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. And Charlotte went over when Sasha had Snoop Dogg wrapping her to the ring, and she had she pulled up in an Escalade with security. Like, okay, the special entrance didn't get the special finish. I guess that's usually the dead giveaway. If you get the special entrance, you're not winning the match. So keep an eye out for that.
But here's the thing: if Charlotte goes over, how long is she going to be in NXT? And then what? She's going to dominate the whole NXT women's division and kill it? No, that's stupid.
Yeah, we don't know. That's the weird thing is that you think about it. You're right. Is they're not going to have Charlotte be a full-time NXT roster.
Yeah, but you know what though? I wouldn't necessarily be disappointed with that move, because think about how many new matches we'll get to see with Charlotte. Everyone bitches.
Oh, no, it's not a bad idea.
Everyone bitches. Even people on this podcast. We're seeing the same match with Charlotte. She's wrestling the same people. We've seen this so many times. So now if she goes over there, you're going to get to see matches that we haven't seen 1,000,001 times. You're going to get to see Charlotte Candice LeRae. You're going to get to see Charlotte Bianca Belair. You're going to get to see, all these different types of matches now that we haven't gotten to see. So I'm not necessarily, and it's going to bring a lot more eyes to the show. And especially when you want to talk about the war with AEW on Wednesdays. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's a bad move.
I would be happy to see Bianca get on the WrestleMania card. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But again, do they do the triple threat again this year? Who knows? But I think out of everybody, I mean, Rhea Ripley, yes. But Bianca Belair has been putting the work in a lot. And
she's a superstar, man.
Yeah, she's up there. And I mean, she's got the hair thing. She's got a good look.
Well, and she really wants to get to the main roster because she's with from the So they don't get to see each other as much. So what brand she'll come to when she gets called up. But
Smackdown because fuck couples apparently. That's the way it usually works.
No, they've been pretty good if you look at it, trying to accommodate. Recently. I mean, even like, you got Selena Vega and Aleister Black on the same card.
They were apart for a while. That was like...
Well, when they got married, it's when they really like... I think that's what they... if you guys are like engaged or married, I think that's when they'll kind of cater to it.
Yeah. But I don't dislike the idea of Bianca being involved. I just... it's so weird because we're in the road to WrestleMania, but it almost feels like the Becky Shayna stuff. I feel like they kind of rushed it, and now this other thing. It's like we need to see how this Charlotte Rhea NXT Takeover Portland situation, and that's stretched out. So there are some that are timed right. Like I think that Charlotte, they're building anticipation here. Was Charlotte actually going to challenge Rhea Ripley, or is it going to be Bianca Belair, whatever the case may be? But then you've got like this Becky thing where I don't know, she drove the ambulance out. I don't think she needed to drive it back. And if she did need to drive it back, she could have drove it back next week. I know it wouldn't be the same city and it wouldn't be the same ambulance, but you know what I mean? Like, Roman Reigns did that one time where he came back out, or he came back on an ambulance, or Braun Strowman came out in a dump truck, or whatever the fuck it was. It was the next week, it was a different town, but it was continuity. So I kind of would have liked that to just, we've got enough time. We can stretch this stuff out. We don't need
Where's
to
the Zamboni when you need one?
That was, that's kind of, that could have been, and that could have been their Zamboni moment. She could have jumped off the roof of the fucking ambulance and taken out Shayna, like next week. Not, because a lot of stuff happened this week with Becky and Shayna, and they want to get that going. But if they spaced it out one more week, and she does that, there's all these people separating them and there's a brawl or whatever, and then she jumps from the top of the ambulance or from the hood of the ambulance or whatever it is, and that's their kind of moment.
Here's the other question too. Are they going to bring up the other two that are always with Shayna? Are they going to
Bebop and Rocksteady? Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely when it comes to the in-ring abilities, they're definitely not ready. Right. But I mean, as backup or enforcers, I can kind of see that. But they're definitely not ready in-ring wise, in my opinion, especially the blonde. She's far behind, in my opinion.
So I forget her name off the top of my head, but Marina Shafir, who is the one that's married to Roderick Strong.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yep. I don't know if she's going to be involved. It would be a good continuity to take both of those girls and have them as heaters to kind of get in the way of Becky and provide distractions and jumper and all that stuff. That's a good idea. But if I don't know if you saw this last week on NXT, Velveteen Dream.
What an amazing return, by the way.
He channeled his inner Rick Rude.
Oh, it was so good.
And he had Marina and I think his name is Troy, Roderick Strong's wife and kid, airbrushed onto his tights.
Yeah.
And it said, like, call me Marina or something like that. So they might be involving her in Roddy's feud with Velveteen Dream. So that's yet to be seen.
That was also hilarious because on our show last week, the day before NXT, I say, when's Velveteen Dream coming back? And then all of a sudden,
I think I texted you that.
There he is. Yeah, no, it was good. I'm glad he's making a comeback because he's one guy where if he wasn't injured, he'd be doing something. Now probably main roster or be involved more in the NXT title picture or something. It would have been nice. It would be nice if they found a spot for him. And again, WrestleMania, I don't want it to be 8 hours long again, but it would be nice if they found a spot for Dream somewhere on the WrestleMania card. Kind of not as a thank you for your hard work, but like to acknowledge that like Bianca being on it and then Dream being on it would acknowledge that those two put the work in and deserve it.
They'll probably bury them in a stupid battle royal bullshit.
Yeah, that's also the concern. Is
but still, you get to see them. You know, even if it is that, you know, it's
Right,
still
they get
like
thrown
for
out.
them. They don't give a shit. Like to them, they're like,
No, you're right. It's
we're at
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're
they
getting a
get that
paycheck.
money.
No,
Yep,
you know,
they
we're
get
getting a
that.
payday, and we get to experience 80,000 strong or whatever the hell. You know, it's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, but then again, think about it this way. This is where they should use that platform to boost some of these guys. Like imagine
Agreed.
Keith Lee doing something big at WrestleMania.
Oh, dude, listen, I am the biggest Keith Lee fan there is. I hope, yes, I'm with you. I would love to see something. I would love to see something with him and Brock.
Like that's the
yeah.
time to do it. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
I agree.
Put one of these new guys over. Let's start the new season and the new year on the right foot. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm listen.
But then
I'm with
again,
you.
I get it. For business, you got to wait for Raw to keep it going. I get it, but
I mean, I will
we've seen
say
it
this.
so many times.
I think right after Mania, you're going to see Undisputed Era called up to the main roster because they're starting to lose all their gold. Cole will be the last one,
Yep.
and then they're going to get called up, and that's going to be huge for whatever brand they show up on. So
Yeah,
If they make a
it'll be the
spot for them.
Monday Night Messiah
will.
and his squad versus the Undisputed Era.
well, right. Yeah, because the Undisputed Era will probably be faced when they come. They're going to be so over.
Yeah, well, that's usually when on the big debuts. There's always a big pop for the debut. The one thing, since you guys brought it up, I took a nap before Raw because I'm old now, and I nap a lot. When I woke up from my nap, right around, I set my alarm, and I woke up, and then the first thing on was Seth giving his now traditional Triple H show opening promo. I went back and I continued my nap until he was done. I don't.
That was a smart move.
It's not, and it has nothing to do with Seth necessarily. I hate the idea of a wrestling show opening up with a promo. I hate it.
Didn't we talk about that's one of the things we really enjoyed right away with AEW is that every show was starting right away with a match.
Start with a match, and again, they could just do it. It could be throw out 205 live guys, like WCW used to throw out the Luchadors. You'd have Hoovy and Psychosis out there, so put out, Jack Gallagher and Tony Nese or whatever. Just put two guys out there, have them start off the show hot, and then if you want, Seth and his buddies can come out. And the Authors of Pain, or they don't even call it the AOP, because apparently Buddy Murphy lost his first name, so it's Murphy and AOP.
Yeah,
It's
what
not
the
Buddy
hell?
Murphy.
I don't understand. Like, why? what? I mean, it doesn't matter either way.
doesn't,
Like,
but it's
but
silly.
like, why? It's just sometimes these are little things. Like, and it's happening more now than ever. They're
Well, they did
chopping
with
names in half.
Well, Charlotte has Buddy Murphy's flipped a couple times, I think. Ali has flipped, which is they finally gave Mustafa back to Mustafa Ali, but Cesaro, Rusev. Here's the thing: I understand they want like a single name kind of. That's how you recognize somebody more with like a single name and it's catchy.
Is that
but
true though?
I don't. Well, look at Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. I mean, Sting was a one name. Goldberg was one name, but like Diamond Dallas Page, that's a long ass name.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
Yeah. So
Like-
I don't.
They're supposed to be like hitmen, so you can't have your name Buddy when you're going to beat someone up.
Yeah.
Got your buddy
Well,
guy.
now that I see, now that makes sense to me. You know.
Yeah. But I mean, Murph, it's like if you. I'm sure we all have that one friend that you call by their last name.
Oh yeah.
But he has a first name. It's not like one day his parents just decided, you call John Smith, you call him Smitty. Oh well, we're just not gonna. We went to the town hall. You don't have a first name anymore.
My mother calls me Chick.
She calls you kid.
Cheer.
She's like, Chick, come here.
Right, but she didn't go to town hall and change your name to the chairman. I mean, you can still do that if you wanted, but it's not like
Yeah, then my wife would divorce me.
she didn't want to be Mrs. Chairman.
Mrs. Chairman.
That works. I think it
Kind of
rolls
like
off
that,
the tongue,
Mrs. Chairman.
right?
Why not? Dana Warrior.
We're gonna hear a chunkle hitting the back of his head in about 2 minutes once she hears what we just said.
Too late.
She's never going to talk to me again.
You can have a podcast called Jammin' with the Chairman.
Yeah.
That'll be our
Listen to that.
second weekly podcast. It'll just be the chairman.
Kind of to segue a little bit, I had to bring this up. What do you guys think? Sting and Taker or no?
I mean, listen, this
The
is
Super Showdown.
this is the time of year that this rumor always starts to come to surface. I'm
10 years.
right. I mean, I'm going to say this, and I feel like I said this last year, that if there was ever a time for it to happen, it would be now. I almost don't want it to happen, though, because I feel like it's just never going to be what we ever expected it to be, just because it's a match that should have happened 10 years ago. What do you guys
Well, we
think?
have to see. I have to see it before I die. I mean, come on, man.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't get excited about it, but I mean, let's be real. I mean, we can't expect all too much. I guess.
Vince just turned 33. How much longer does he have to wait?
I know, right?
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be.
It's gonna be all showmanship, like it's.
And the problem is, I'm 33. How old are those guys? They're not going to live forever. We got to get this. I know he's the dead man and everything, but I mean, Jesus Christ, let's get him in the ring.
You don't want him to literally be the dead man.
Yeah.
He looks more like the dude from Jeepers Creepers every year.
Oh no.
I still think those two could go. I think they put on a hell of a match.
It could. I think it would be, if they did it correctly, a smart match, unlike what happened when Goldberg got concussed and the two guys were dying of heat stroke and everything else. There is a smart way to do Sting versus Undertaker that
There was a lot of
guys won't look like they're 80 years old.
there was a lot of talk before Sting came back to face Triple H. They didn't think he could do it, and that was a hell of a match. That was probably the best match on the card, in my opinion.
Yeah,
That's when it should have been Sting versus Taker.
and that's when Sting should have won instead of Triple H, but that's a whole other.
Yeah,
The
that was
ma-
such a shit ending.
I feel like the match will be incredible for nostalgic reasons,
Right.
but that's it.
Look at Hogan Warrior. That wasn't a technical masterpiece, but it was a good match.
Or even
But they were in their prime at least when that
Right,
happened.
exactly.
that's true.
Hogan
That's
and
true,
Rock,
too.
though. Rock was in his prime, but Hogan wasn't when they did that match.
Okay, but then again, you have two wrestlers. One's in his prime and one's kind of on his way out the door. You both have two taking
Yeah, we got
Geritol, but they get up in
I
the
was just going to say, we
morning.
got two AARP members in the ring together.
I could be doing their Medicare applications for them.
Like the Flair Hogan TNA match or something.
Yeah, and even that was, that was at a pay-per-view, right? That was pretty good. Not good in the tech, like, it wasn't Flair Steamboat in 1989 or anything, but, like, the people were into it. It was the story that they wanted to tell, and they found a way to do it, because Hogan was running on, like, a bad back, bad knees, bad hips, bad everything, and, Flair has his liver the size of Nicaragua weighing him down, so... they still did it. So I think there's a way to do this match, and it wouldn't be to have it be a long match. It doesn't need to be a long match. It doesn't even need to be...
I still think they could go, though. I think they can still be technically sound. They have their spots. We all know what the spots are. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a 15-minute match. It could be, a good 8-9-minute match where we get to see everything we wanted, and that's it.
I don't know. It's like I'm hoping that you're right. I really am. I want to see. I want to see it work.
I'm rarely ever wrong, my friend.
I'd love to see the build-up start in Saudi Arabia, like Undertaker comes out to address the crowd, and then Sting, confronts him, and they have that stare down. And then,
The only way I'm okay with that is if they do it late in the card, so that it.
it's got to be, yeah.
Well, no, because it's still. Oh, it will be nighttime there, right?
Would it? I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like we're getting it in the afternoon, so
Right.
they get a night show.
The card starts at 7 p.m. their time when
Okay.
it's the afternoon for us.
Yeah, so it'll probably, as it goes on, it'll get dark. But 7 p.m. it'll probably be dark by then. We don't hit daylight savings quite yet at that point. And that's coming up.
Stan, did you say you wanted an 8-9 minute match between Taker and Sting?
Well, the entrance is going to take 3 minutes.
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
You solved my point for me.
Right. So you get the big entrances. Sting. All right. That WrestleMania where he wrestled Triple H was if you were a WCW fan, it was the biggest blue balls in the world.
Yeah.
Because you had Sting coming out, and they didn't play the Sting music. They didn't play Metallica's Seek and Destroy. They didn't play the old. They played some weird fucking music with these big Japanese drums.
I just don't have the Blue Band group out there.
Yeah, they were out there banging on PVC pipes and shit. And then he comes out in a circus ringleader's jacket, and I'm like, "Where's Sting? I want Sting in the trench coat, dropping from the ceiling or whatever." Like, it wasn't. And then he lost. They will never
do a drop from the ceiling.
No, I know they wouldn't do it
again, though.
But they could do.
But they had to. Triple H and Vince had to continue to shit on WCW in every way, shape, or form.
That was one of the worst decisions they ever made, was to have Sting fucking lose that match. That was
Scott Hall
unbelievably bad.
Talking shit. Scott Hall went off on him. He's like, "This is fucking bullshit."
Yeah,
it's true. It was ridiculous. There's no reason that man should have lost that match.
Besides all that, though, when he came out at that WrestleMania, it was fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, no,
then not only that, the match, Vince, the match was technical. That shit was fantastic.
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be between those two. And again, Triple H is older, but he's still, especially back then,
Triple H can still go.
Triple H can still go, and Sting was at that point where he could still kind of go. I don't know what he's like now that he has that neck injury. Obviously it's been a couple of years, but like he got that neck injury from the buckle bomb from Seth Rollins, and that kind of put him out, and that was what did it for him. Aside from the fact,
I don't know who the fuck came up with that idea. We probably talked about this 10 times. Why would you buckle bomb a 55-year-old? Like, who came up with that spot?
As a 55-year-old, would you take that spot?
It wasn't even a fit. Like he fucked up Finn Balor's shoulder with it. So why do it to a guy that's 20
Sting
years old?
blames himself for that spot anyway.
Oh yeah,
of course, because he's not going to bury the new kid.
Right.
Well, because everybody the shit about Rollins injuring people anyway. So.
Yeah, that's his thing now.
That's his shtick.
Supposedly he injures people. Although, I mean, listen, you got Cena, you got Balor, you got Sting, you got a couple people. So I mean, I could see there's a little bit of validity in that statement. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity for Sting and Undertaker to do that. I think it could be. Maybe they set it up like you said, Steve, at the Saudi show, or maybe they do it for the show.
Like, what if there's a random crow like up there?
Yeah.
Well, as of right now, Undertaker, I don't even think is scheduled to be there, right? Like, he doesn't have a match. Saudi Arabia.
He could be.
No, but I mean, he could still show up and address the crowd or something.
I'm just saying it would be kind of weird this close that he's not being advertised if he's going to be there. Because that's going to be something that's going to have people want to tune in. You know what I mean?
Every year they do this, though. That something really happens really close to it, a month and a half away. They got to come up with some gimmick, a match that's going to come out. It's coming. We know it's coming.
Yeah, I feel like there has to be an Undertaker match on the Saudi Arabia show, only because those guys seem to want the old guard of wrestling.
Right.
They're still asking for Warrior.
I don't know if it'll be Sting and Taker, though.
Well, they asked for Yokozuna.
No, Sting and Taker, if they decide to actually do this match, it better be at WrestleMania. I don't want that shit in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be in Saudi Arabia, but the rumor mill states that Sting's in Saudi Arabia.
Maybe he calls out Undertaker for that. That would be nice.
I'm okay with that too, as long as the actual match takes place at WrestleMania, because that's where the match should take place if it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Cat knows.
Yeah, it couldn't be anywhere else.
No, I agree. Wow, so we're a little bit more than halfway through. just to backtrack a little bit, did we see
There's a gauntlet match on the card now for this.
Oh yeah, there's a gauntlet match for a trophy in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Rusev, R-Truth, AJ Styles, Andrade, Eric Rowan, and Bobby Lashley.
Well, AJ Styles is probably going to be pulled, right?
Probably.
Yeah, unless he's back, but yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know what that. It's a random match. I heard that I was listening to some podcasts earlier today, and they listed off the names of the people. It was like they pulled them out of a hat or something. I really don't know how they figured out that who was in that match.
And why wouldn't they just have Andrade defend like his title in that or something?
You know what? That's a good point, though. Andrade might be pulled, too. I don't know if he's actually reached the 30-day suspension by the time this happens.
That show is the day after his suspension ends.
I think we can now confirm that Samoa Joe was not suspended.
Well,
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
clearly it was on Raw.
Loved his hair like that, too.
I loved the finish of that match.
Yeah.
It was a good finish. It was a good match. Overall, like I said, I think Raw was actually pretty solid. How are we feeling about this Goldberg Fiend match? I mean, I just, how is this gonna go?
I don't know how. I don't even know how to think about that, honestly.
Because the problem that everybody had initially with that first match, the Hell in the Cell that Seth and the Fiend had, and they corrected it with the next match, kind of. But the first one was like, you could hit your finisher on the Fiend several times, and he's going to get back up. But I feel like the champion shouldn't have somebody hit their finisher on them over and over and over. Like, that's just not. I don't want to see Goldberg spear, jackhammer, the Fiend kicks out at one, so he gets him back up, spears him again, hits him with another jackhammer, and he kicks out at one again. Like, I have a feeling that's the road we're going to end up going down. Is just
And then he's gonna beat him with the mandible claw. Fucking garbage.
with the mandible claw. Yeah, I don't know what kind of shortcuts we can take in this match. There's no gimmick to it. There's no stipulation. It's not a street fight. It's not no DQ. It's not First Blood, whatever. Oh, yeah, by the way, I thought that would be First Blood would be a good full circle for Shayna and Becky. Make that match at WrestleMania a First Blood match.
It's not a bad idea.
Since Becky
Or do that with Champ and Adam Cole also.
Ooh, that could be good. But yeah, man, I just the Fiend Goldberg thing kind of bums me out because I'm like, oh yeah, Goldberg's back, and I like Goldberg. I'm a guy, regardless of what Sam said. I'm a WCW mark from way back, so I like Goldberg being there. I don't necessarily know that I love him wrestling the Fiend and having
My
a title
favorite place
match.
for Goldberg is for him to stay home.
Yes.
Well, I thought it would be him against Roman Reigns because of the whole spear, former football player, whatever thing. Like there was a lot. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there for like both of them to try and spear each other at the same time and have like a collision in the middle of the ring, like two rams going after each other or something. And
He
there's
should
no
just stay
title.
at home in his garage and work on his Dodge Challenger.
Damn, bro. Fucking harsh.
Nice.
I know. I like that card too.
You know, so you brought up Roman Reigns. So let me ask you guys this: what's worse, losing the title to Goldberg, or the Fiend losing the title to Reigns at Mania?
That's a valid question.
That's pretty much what's going to happen.
Damn, I might actually have to say Goldberg.
Yeah,
And then do they end up going Goldberg Reigns at Mania then?
No, that would be
Then where does it leave the Fiend? Like the Fiend,
right.
like at Mania and have a good spot.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where it's like, hey, WrestleMania's coming up. I'd like
Because
this kind of
Fiend
match. I'd
entrance
like
at
this kind of
Mania.
match.
Holy shit.
And then the show's 8 hours long because we have to get everybody gets their shit in. But I agree. The Fiend shouldn't be. First of all, we need to go back to when the Fiend debuted. The thing we all said was they need to keep the Fiend away from the world title for a long time.
And they gave him the title immediately.
Immediately. And
But
then
they painted themselves into a corner. They had to.
they really painted themselves into a corner. And I don't know. I don't know, because they invested a lot. They made this new belt with his face on it. They've got all this stuff surrounding the Fiend, and the logical thing is that he goes to WrestleMania against a guy like a Roman Reigns. But when do we know them to do the logical thing?
Hey, listen. They have been known to surprise us. We don't know 1,000% that Roman does beat him. Maybe the Fiend does win. I mean, there is that chance. We got to keep the hope alive.
Maybe.
I'll place my money on Reigns.
I know it feels like it's a safe bet, but it could be a situation like last year when everybody thought the Miz was going to win the match against Shane McMahon, and they do that thing where like Shane gets the fluky pin on him.
Listen, 90% of the world didn't see Drew McIntyre winning the Rumble. Everyone thought it was going to be Reigns.
They were dummies. That's why.
Yeah, it had to be a guy like Drew this year, and I'm glad because he seems to be.
He's doing well with it.
What was that thing with MVP? That was weird.
Are they keeping? I hope that they do keep MVP around as a manager for somebody. That's a cool.
I think he's an agent backstage now, isn't he?
Is he?
Apparently that was like he was there to discuss whether or not he's going to become an agent for WWE. So that then they used him for that segment.
It's a rite of passage. You got to get kicked in the face and you become an agent.
Exactly. I agree though. If he's going to be around, put him on TV. I know we're not using managers for whatever reason unless they're a woman with an accent, like was it Lena Vega or Lana.
Lana sometimes.
Right. And
Only when Rusev.
Yeah, that whole, and that's just death.
She should go back to the accent because her regular voice sucks.
I happen to agree.
Wow.
I happen to agree. I
You really
I don't really pay too much attention to her voice.
I mean that wholeheartedly.
I get what you mean, but it's just death television. Whenever I feel so bad for Bobby Lashley because he was doing really well for himself in TNA. He was their world champion. He was showing more personality. He was MVP was his manager. It was like a really good thing he had going. And then they threw him a bunch of money and they told him he was going to wrestle Brock Lesnar and all this. They gassed him up to get him to re-sign with WWE, and then they're like, surprise, we're going to put you in the worst storyline that we've had since Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns.
See, but now here's a question.
I'm with you, Steve. Go ahead.
Why are they deliberately keeping those two separated? Like, there has to be a reason. I don't understand. Like, listen, I love Ricochet, and I think he's going to make this match look great, even though he's going to get annihilated. But why not do Bobby Lashley? Why are we avoiding it? That's the question.
I'm actually a little bit on the opposite side. I know what you're saying, Vince, but I feel like we're actually getting, even though his voice is terrible, we're giving him a chance to talk. We're giving him a chance to grow his character, and it takes time to do that. So I like that he's doing that, even though Lana talks most of the time. And Bobby Lashley, you can put on a decent match, too. So I think it's just the beginning. You got to give him a little bit more time and give him a shot.
Yeah, but Sam, why? Why do you feel they're keeping those two separated?
I think because Brock doesn't want to let it happen. That's what it is.
Like backstage, like real life.
I think it has to be because Brock chooses pretty much everything he goes into. I mean, obviously, Paul Heyman's all over that.
And apparently Brock is petitioning right now to do more with R-Truth, which is awesome.
That shit was fantastic for TV.
Oh, my God, it was amazing.
But I think that's what it is. I think that's the only thing, and maybe they're building, Bobby Lashley a different way for now. But eventually, they got to come head-to-head. They have to.
It has to happen.
Yeah, maybe like SummerSlam feud. I don't know. I would like to see it happen because I feel like a couple years ago, like if this was like 2008, it would be the worst match you've ever seen. Nobody would want to see Bobby Lashley wrestle Brock Lesnar. But Bobby Lashley's gone out and put a lot of work in, and honestly, so has Brock.
When Lashley came in, you guys remember he was basically like the new Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think didn't people call him Black Lesnar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
And Big E was Rye Black.
Yes, Rye Black for sure.
I'm so sorry.
No, but there was wore the singlet, big guy. It was all very similar. Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe they're keeping it for SummerSlam because they've positioned SummerSlam now the same way they position WrestleMania. Obviously not as big, but the biggest party of the summer, the ultimate thrill ride or whatever the fuck else they call it. But they'll have it as a whole weekend event, and it extends from. And I don't know what they'll do with the takeover, but usually they do the takeover, the pay-per-view, and then Monday night, and then they even had Tuesday because SmackDown was live on Tuesdays. They had 4 days in a row where they were at the Barclays Center in New York.
Didn't they do the Barclays Center 2 years in a row? They're probably going to do it again.
Yeah, they might. So I think that could be, maybe that's going to be the big matchup for SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley, two big boys going at it.
I think that might have to be a War Report gathering.
Hey now.
Hey, that wouldn't be bad. AEW is coming to Boston, but that's a little far for you guys. I might try and go to that show though. It's their second showing in Boston, April 15th. Excuse me.
Well, speaking of which, we only have a few minutes left. We should probably touch upon AEW a little bit.
How good
we had
was
the
that?
Cody Rhodes lashing.
Oh my God.
What an
Yeah,
amazing segment. I mean, and the aftermath, his back, looks unbelievable.
That's
When
freaking
Wardlow-
insane.
You talk about generating heat. Oh, man. What a segment.
And this is a guy that, not to harp on it, but he left WWE because they didn't have the faith in him to be a top performer. They had like this narrow view of what he could be, and he's like, no, I'm more than that.
And look at him now.
And the segment was good because it got sympathy for Cody. It got a ton of heat on MJF. It got heat on Wardlow because they've got the steel cage. Cody and him have a steel cage match tomorrow night on Dynamite.
First ever cage match.
The first ever AEW cage match, which is weird that it's with a guy who hasn't even wrestled a match yet in AEW, Wardlow. But it got sympathy for Cody. It got heat on MJF. It got heat on Wardlow. Brandy came out, and now she's the Nightmare Collective thing is done, and she's babyface with Cody again. Dustin Rhodes came out, and he got pops for that. Arn came out. The Young Bucks came out. And then at the end of it, MJF hits a low blow and runs out of the ring. And then everybody boos the shit out of him. Like, it just worked so well.
And MJF is so good at being a heel. You really want to punch him in the face.
Oh, he's absolutely unlikable. Just the way the way he talks, his facial expressions. I only worked with him a couple times, and I never had a bad experience with him. But I wonder is like how much of that is rooted in like, was he like a dick to people when he was in high school? Like, he seems like the kind of guy that would be a dick to people in high school.
Oh, he was definitely a dick. No doubt about it. He was definitely a dick. I don't doubt that for a second. But listen, it is what it is. I mean, if that's it's working, do you?
And that's the thing. We need guys that people will boo.
It's also very important for AEW as a brand to have that kind of heel.
Yeah. Because it can't be just like this indie wrestling, the cool heel that people cheer, but then they boo him sometimes. And I know that happens with Jericho, but it's a different story because he's a legend. So people cheer for the legend, and then he goes and makes the crowd turn on him and boo him. He's not like somebody who's a bad guy, but people still like Angel Garza. He's supposed to be a heel, and he's like this handsome guy who rips his pants off and wrestles like a motherfucker. Like, not that he's miscast because he's doing a good job at it, but it's like he's a guy that people want to cheer and should be cheering. Whereas MJF is a guy that people want to boo, and they're giving reasons for them to hate him more and more every week. It's the right kind of heat, as they say. It's not like that Baron Corbin, please go away.
MJF is almost like the perfect heel at this point.
Yeah, I got to see. The real test is going to be this match with Cody, because he hasn't really wrestled that many matches in AEW. And in general, he's only been wrestling for, 3 or 4 years. So he doesn't have a lot of time under his belt. And obviously,
all his matches are in MLW, I think.
Yeah, he's done a lot in MLW, and I saw him wrestle, not this week, but last week's MLW on YouTube, MLW Fusion on YouTube. So he's definitely getting reps in, but this is when the lights shine the brightest. It's going to be live on pay-per-view, and he's going in there with the top guy from the company. So we'll see what happens with him facing the top guy in. Obviously, I think the world title is going to be the main event match, but that's probably like second to last. It's one of the main events for that pay-per-view is Cody versus MJF. So we'll see. I'm curious to see how he performs.
Real quick, do we want to just do like takeover predictions?
Oh, is that?
Because that's actually coming up.
That's Saturday?
Oh, well, we better do that now.
Sunday.
Oh, it's Sunday.
It's actually Sunday this time, yep.
And it's standalone. It's not next to other pay-per-view.
Right.
Real quick, right before we get into this, I just want to say, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby fried fish?
Matt Riddle is so great.
He got the fucking crowd oh, that was awesome.
That was ridiculous. I like that, but he's a different kind of it's such a different character than they've had.
And him and Dunn just work
On NXT. For some reason, it works because he's Pete Dunne is like the straight man to all of his nonsense. And
They drove in that mini, like whatever the fuck it was.
Oh, that was great.
And
that was hilarious.
And yeah, Pete Dunne has he has like the right facial expressions for like.
If we're on the topic of those guys, they're definitely winning the tag titles off of.
Oh yeah. So we've got those guys. So it's Fish and O'Reilly against the Undisputed Era against the Broserweights, Riddle and Dunn for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Yeah, I think there's a title change coming.
Bro.
Manipulating a joint.
Yeah, he looks up. Got all excited. Let's see. We've got Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox in a street fight. I don't know. I can't call that one.
Wait, who is it?
Dakota
Well,
Kai.
Tegan won the match on NXT TV, so I would think
Dakota Kai keep the heat on the heel.
Yeah,
I mean, after what he did to her at War Games.
War Games. Yeah. Let's see here. We've got Finn Balor versus Johnny Gargano.
That's going to be a fucking match.
Yeah, it's going to be loser can no longer wear lifts in their boots. And we'll see how tall they actually are. No, Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, it will be a really good match.
I don't even know if I have a rating for that one, honestly. That's a hard one.
I mean, you usually side with the main roster guy, but this is an NXT pay-per-view, so...
I mean, they could extend it and have another match at Mania, so,
Definitely could.
Or the TakeOver Mania,
Right, yeah, so if Finn won, they could stretch this out and have like some kind of like an ultimate submission match or an Iron
Johnny
Man match.
Redemption or something.
Johnny Redemption, yeah. No, that could be something. We've got some title matches. We've got Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. We kind of discussed that earlier. I think, if you're going Ripley Flair for WrestleMania, you got to keep belt on her. And even if Bianca's involved, I think Eric's probably right in that Charlotte will interject herself and whatever happens.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
I'm taking full credit for that one.
There you go. So yeah, Rhea Ripley retains on this one?
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna go out and take my theory that Charlotte is going to cost Rhea Ripley the title, and the match is somehow going to be hopefully a triple threat at Mania with Bianca involved.
Oh, okay. So Bianca would be going in as the champion?
Correct.
Okay. Interesting.
That'd be cool. I'd actually be really okay with that.
I'm probably
I don't know if I
wrong,
want to see
but
another triple threat. No more triple threats.
no?
It's been
I don't know
done.
if they do. I don't
But
know
it
if they
hasn't
do
been done with these three. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
true.
Yeah, but it's going to be the same spots.
I don't know. I mean, Bianca's a different type of wrestler, and so is Rhea. So I don't know. They could have some different. Maybe put him in a cage. Do something like do something different. Maybe put him in a cage or do a ladder. Or something.
That would be cool.
You
That
know?
would be sick.
Right.
Yeah, and so one of the other title matches is a match that I've seen a few times and people have seen a few times, but will never, unlike Baron Corbin, Roman Reigns, this will never get old. Keith Lee, the North American champion, defending against Dominik Dijakovic.
They always put on a phenomenal match, but
Yeah.
I think you got to give it to Keith Lee. I feel like he's got to have a little bit of a run. He just got the belt; it'll be his first title defense, so I can't see him losing. I could see him losing at Mania, and that way he starts off the new year on the main roster. I could see that.
Possible, but I think you're right. You gotta. I'm hedging towards Keith Lee,
Yeah, you got to give him a little bit of a run here.
and then.
But we have seen Stranger Things, so
Yes, we have all 3 seasons. No, and then we have Adam Cole, baby, against Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Men's World Championship.
Another killer match.
Adam Cole, I think, is losing the belt.
So you think he's in this first defense against Tommaso?
Yeah, I do. I think it's time. I think he's broken records. He's done his thing. I think it's time. I think it's time for
Daddy's home.
Daddy's girl to come home.
And then they start the
Daddy's home.
they start the Ciampa Gargano feud all over again.
Well, listen.
Run that back.
Except this time Gargano turns.
Yeah, could be. Listen, anything's possible.
What else we got?
I think that was it for the matches. That was
Nice.
Yeah, Ripley Belair, Balor Gargano, Undisputed Era versus Cruiserweights, Cole
they
Ciampa.
could end up throwing in like a pre-thing.
Yeah, because there were only 6 matches.
Roderick or something.
Yep, yeah. I feel like Dream Roddy is going to be Well, I don't know if it'll be added to this paper. Well, maybe.
Or they'll just put it on the next NXT show. Like that'll be the main event of the next NXT show.
Right. No, I like that too. I like because Roddy is kind of, I don't want to say.
They burned Dream's couch. Remember that?
All I can think of when you say that is Dave Chappelle. Fuck your couch. Fuck your couch. I would never rub my boots on another man's couch. Not sure I remember rubbing my boots on Eddie Murphy's couch.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Oh man, and even that's like 15 years old at this point. Oh man. Yeah, but I think with 6 matches, they could definitely add either something on the pre-show, or they could definitely add another match, whether it's an NXT Cruiserweight Championship match or whatever the case may be.
It's also cool that there's 2 women's matches on the card.
Yeah, no, that's nice. Out of 6, yeah, because usually when there's 2 women's matches, it's like an 8-match card, and then you've got two women's matches in it.
I mean, that Candice LeRae versus Io Shirai match, which was not for a title, was an awesome match.
Oh, that was phenomenal. That was, I went to that. That was NXT 25 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I went with my mom, and that was one of her favorite matches. She liked Bianca, but she spots him. She goes, "That Bianca Belair, she's gonna be a big deal," and then she's gonna be a big deal. Like she wasn't even in, whatever match she was in, it wasn't like she was winning the title or anything that night. My mom just saw her and like was like, this girl's got the total package. And I mean, I'm excited because they do put on, NXT puts on technically sound wrestling shows.
Yes.
Some of it could, you know, they don't have the sports entertainment segments that the other shows have, but that's the whole idea is you know, if you're Coca-Cola, you have Coke and you have Fanta and you've got the Canada Dry Ginger Ale. You don't just sell Coca-Cola.
Right.
You've got a little bit for everybody.
Yeah,
So
pineapple Fanta.
yeah. I like the strawberry, but it's never around here. I never get strawberry Fanta around here.
All right.
Yeah.
Time flew this week.
Yeah, jeez.
It's top of the hour already.
There was a ton of stuff going on this week, so
Man, that was fast.
Shit.
we didn't even talk about SmackDown because who gives a shit? No. No, it's just honestly, to really touch on SmackDown, I feel like SmackDown, they've just been replaying the same episode for like the last 6 weeks. It's barren.
It's pretty much what it feels like.
And people like it. I mean, it's got higher ratings than Raw.
Well, the XFL's got high ratings on SmackDown.
Yes, the XFL has higher. Vince McMahon wins again. He's got the higher ratings than he just beat Raw and SmackDown with for like 3 or 4 times over the weekend. One of those games had like at its peak had like 4.5 million people watching.
Yeah.
And it's nobody's playing, and I mean absolutely.
And it's
nobody's playing football.
getting great reviews. People are loving it.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. It's football. People like watching football.
Right.
The football season's only 18 weeks or whatever it is. So more football is. I will never complain about more football.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right.
Wrap it up for this week. Of course, follow us on social media. The best way to find out updates about the redesign of the tagmeadate.com website is to follow us on social media at tagmeadate, at tagmeadate, no spaces. It's all one word, just mush it together. Tagmeadate. That's going to be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And I'm sure I'm missing some other stuff.
Twitch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tag me down on Twitch. So we broadcast live. We go to Twitch and YouTube, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time, and on Tuesday nights. So the best way to if you want to watch the video version is to go to Twitch or to go to YouTube and again subscribe. YouTube is the same account. It's at Tag Me a Date. You type it in your search bar. And you'll find our channel. You can subscribe. You got to hit the bell to get notifications for when we go live or when we upload a new video. Same goes with Twitch. Hit the subscribe button there. Hit the follow button for Instagram, Twitter, etc., Facebook, and yeah, just tune in next week. If you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, again, search for Tag Me a Date. We keep it simple for you. You just got to look for Tag Me a Date. We got SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Google Play Podcasts. So we're available on all of those. You just have to search for Tag Me a Date. You'll find the podcast. It'll come up. You can subscribe on whichever service you like the best. Usually that audio version is out within the next day or so, so either the Wednesday or the Thursday after our live show. And we'll just be back next week doing it one more time. We'll be talking about the AEW first ever cage match. We'll be talking about the results from NXT TakeOver Portland, and we'll talk about Raw and SmackDown as well. And as we make our way through the Saudi Super Showdown into Elimination Chamber, which they announced. There's spoilers online. If you look that up, if you want to be spoiled, you can find the Elimination Chamber spoilers. So we'll be talking about the lead up to that, and of course the lead up to WrestleMania. I will be there live again this year at WrestleMania in Tampa, so that'll be fun. And yeah, we're gonna be busy it's February, middle of February until the beginning of April. We're gonna be real busy. There's gonna be a lot of stuff happening. So we'll catch you next week right here live on Twitch or YouTube. Again, look for Tag Me a Date. We'll be back 7 p.m. Tuesday night Eastern Time. Thank you so much for